The man sleeping with my wife called me first, not to threaten me, not to insult me. He called to apologize. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I'm sorry about your death, Daniel." The strange part, I wasn't dead. My name is Daniel Carter, 34, a high school history teacher. For 8 years, I believed I had the perfect marriage. Emily wasn't just my wife, she was my best friend. Or, that's what I thought. It was an ordinary Friday. School was over. I stopped at the grocery store, picked up fresh bread, and Emily's favorite chocolate. I had no idea this would be the last normal evening of my life. As I walked toward the parking lot, my phone rang. Unknown number. Normally, I ignore those calls. This time, I answered. A calm voice asked, "Is this Daniel Carter?" "Yes." A short silence. Then, "I think we're married to the same woman." I laughed. I thought it was a prank. I hung up immediately. 5 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. One message, one photograph, nothing else. My heart suddenly felt heavier. I opened the picture. Emily, standing beside the same man, both smiling, his arm resting around her shoulder. Below the photo in just one sentence. She told me her husband died 3 years ago. I stared at the screen. Because according to my wife, I had already been dead. For 3 years. For nearly a minute. I just sat there. The rain hit the windshield. Cars moved around me. But I heard nothing. I kept staring at the photo, trying to convince myself it was fake. Maybe it was edited. Maybe the man was lying. Maybe there was an explanation. There had to be. My phone rang again. The same unknown number. This time, I answered. "Who are you?" "My name is Michael Bennett." His voice was calm, but unsteady. He said he had known Emily for almost 3 years. Not as a friend, not as a coworker, as the woman he planned to marry. I wanted to shout, to accuse him, to call him a liar. Instead, I asked one question. "How do you know my name?" Michael went quiet. Then he said, "I found your wedding photo in a storage box at her apartment." My grip tightened around the phone. Her apartment? Emily had never mentioned another apartment. Michael sent me more pictures. Birthdays, weekend trips, holiday dinners. In every photo, Emily looked happy, comfortable, familiar. Not like someone trapped in a mistake, like someone living a second life. And in one picture, she was wearing the bracelet I had given her on our anniversary. Michael told me Emily had introduced herself as a widow. She said her husband had died in a highway accident. She said she had spent years rebuilding her life. She even cried when she told him. The story sounded detailed, personal, practiced. That was the moment I stopped wondering whether Michael was lying and started wondering how long my wife had been preparing this lie. Before ending the call, Michael gave me an address, a small apartment across town. "She'll be here tomorrow at 7, he said. "You can see the truth yourself." I looked at the photo again, then at my wedding ring. For 8 years, I thought Emily and I shared one life. Now, I was about to discover the one she had hidden from me. I sat there, turning my wedding ring with my thumb. 8 years. One promise. One woman. How many of those years had been real? The rain finally slowed. My phone still rested in my hand. Michael hadn't called again. He didn't need to. He'd already shattered everything I believed. I opened my maps and entered the address. 23 minutes away, Riverside Apartments, Block C. I almost deleted it. Maybe I didn't want the truth, because once I saw it, there would be no going back. Instead of driving there, I drove home. Emily was already inside. She smiled the moment she saw me. "You're late." Then she kissed my cheek. exactly like she always did. For a second, I almost believed none of it had happened. During dinner, she laughed, asked about my day, complained about work. She looked completely normal. I couldn't stop wondering how someone could lie without trembling. That night, she fell asleep beside me within minutes. I stayed awake, watching the ceiling, listening to her breathing, wondering if she dreamed about me or him. The next evening, 6:42 p.m., I parked across from Riverside Apartments. Block C stood directly ahead. One apartment, one hidden life, one final chance to prove Michael was wrong. Or to lose everything. I stayed inside my car, watching Riverside Apartments. 6:58 p.m. Then, Emily's car pulled in. She stepped out, looked around once, and walked toward Block C. Without hesitation, like she'd done this before. I wanted to follow her. I didn't. 3 minutes later, another car stopped behind mine. A man stepped out. Dark coat, calm face. It was Michael. He quietly opened my passenger door and sat beside me. Neither of us spoke. Finally, he broke the silence. I told her I was working late. He stared at the building. She thinks we're both somewhere else. For the first time, I stopped seeing him as the other man. He'd been living the same lie. I had. Michael held up a key. Apartment 307. She gave it to me last year. He said she called this place her safe space. He helped furnish it. While I believed she was staying late at work, together. We crossed the street. The rain had almost stopped. Michael unlocked the apartment door. Soft music floated through the hallway. Emily's voice. Then, another man's voice. Neither of us recognized it. We stepped inside. Emily stood beside a stranger, not touching him, just talking. The table between them held 3 passports, several bank cards, 2 folders, one with my name, one with Michael's. Emily slowly turned. The color drained from her face. At that moment, I realized this was never just an affair. For several seconds, nobody moved. Emily stared at us. The stranger reached toward the table. Michael stepped forward. "Don't." His voice was calm, but firm. I looked at the folders again. My name. Michael's name. Everything suddenly felt colder. Emily tried to explain. She said the passports were fake. The bank cards were for emergencies. The folders meant nothing. But her voice wasn't warm anymore. It was controlled, practiced. The stranger watched us silently, like he was calculating his next move. Michael opened my folder. Inside were copies of my documents, my signature, my insurance details, even the route I drove to work. Then he found a printed form, a life insurance claim, prepared in advance. Beneficiary, Emily Carter. My hands went numb. Michael opened his own folder, almost identical. Different address, different accident, same beneficiary. That was when we understood. Emily hadn't chosen between us. She had been preparing to lose us both. The stranger suddenly reached inside his coat. Michael saw it first. He shoved me sideways. A heavy object struck the wall, where my head had been. Michael grabbed my arm. "Run!" We stumbled into the hallway as Emily screamed behind us. We reached the stairwell. Michael locked the fire door and called the police. I could barely breathe. He looked at me and said, "The call about your death wasn't a mistake." They were checking whether the plan had already happened. I stared at him. The man I once hated had just saved my life. But the danger wasn't over yet. Within minutes, sirens echoed outside. Michael kept one hand against the fire door, listening for any movement, while I sat on the stairs, trying to catch my breath. For the first time, I looked at him, not as the man I blamed, but as the man who had just saved my life. The first police officers arrived. They secured the apartment. The stranger was arrested. Emily didn't resist. She looked at me once, then lowered her eyes. For the first time, she had nothing left to say. The investigation uncovered everything: fake identities, forged documents, life insurance policies. Emily and the stranger had spent years targeting lonely professionals, earning their trust before planning their deaths for insurance payouts. Michael and I were never rivals. We were simply their next two victims. Weeks later, I met Michael again, not at the courthouse, not at the police station, just two ordinary men, sharing coffee. We didn't talk about Emily. We talked about moving forward. Sometimes, surviving is enough. Before leaving, Michael smiled. "If I hadn't made that call," he said. I finished the sentence for him. I wouldn't be here. For the first time, we both laughed, not because the pain was gone, but because we were still alive. People often ask what the worst betrayal feels like. It isn't losing the person you loved. It's discovering the life you believed you were living never existed. But sometimes, the person you fear the most becomes the one who saves you. And if that phone had never rung, you wouldn't be hearing my story today.